Hi guys, it's Tao from Shine Bright Design, and this is my second video of my commentary journal series that I've started. So basically, as well as my time lapses, I'm going to be giving you guys commentary on my own progress and feedback for myself. And it's basically a self-critique video. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this, because for me, it's a kind of reflection of how I think I can improve from my strengths, weaknesses, and talk about what I enjoyed and what I didn't. And I feel like I'm going to be a better artist from this video as well. Watching myself, I'm actually really daunted by what I'm seeing. The pale skin, the Game of Thrones blue eyes that look like night walkers or scary monsters. And I think it's because everything is really incomplete and it makes me very nervous seeing everything. But my nerves were quickly resolved once I started seeing things coming together. So I hope you guys have enjoyed and keep watching. I really understand what you guys mean when you watch my videos and you get nervous for me because you don't know how it's going to turn out. And watching my videos, playing it back, I get what you're saying. It is really daunting and nerve-wracking when you're scared things are going to go wrong. So the skin does look very ghostly and cold, and it really reminds me of one of those dolls that you see in the market for kids called the Monsters High dolls, and they're basically monster type of skins, purple, blues, that type of whole idea behind those dolls. It really reminds me of that. And what I regret about the hair that we're currently seeing right now is that I regret not putting a base color in markers first. I feel like it would have turned out so much nicer if there was a base color of markers, and that would just make things more textured, more realistic. Other than that, I don't mind the hair, but I feel like I overdid it with the Posca Pens. And I think I was trying to achieve the same look I tried with one of my earlier pieces, where I used white Posca Pen with grey or silver, I think it was blue or silver hair. And I think using Posca Pens with hair only really works when you have really pale hair, such as silver or blues. And it didn't look that bad here, but I felt like I didn't achieve the same look as I once did in my earlier piece. So you can see here that I'm putting a base color with markers and then going on top with a pencil. Now I did the same thing in Whispered Words and it looked great, but the thing about this piece is I think I overdid it. I think I took it too far and I overworked the piece. Now, in my opinion, I actually think it's really healthy for the artist to understand their strengths and weaknesses and pick out where their failings were. And I think it's a really healthy way for you to grow as an artist and for you to improve on your skills in the future. So this was my first Copic marker pencil tutorial. And I think watching back on it, I really can improve in certain areas. And, you know, I feel like I really identified my strengths and weaknesses and where I could have gone better. Like I could have done better where I went wrong. So I really love the colors that were used in the dress and the headband. And I actually went in with the Posca Pens and touched up the trimmings on the dress and the headband in the white Posca Pen. And then I did the gloves in the black marker from Posca as well. So at this point, the wings weren't burnished so much, so I was still able to pour white pencil pigment on top, highlighting with the Posca Pens. And at this point, I really did like the wings. Later on, I think I did overkill it, but at the end of the day, it still turned out quite nice. So here I'm doing the grass, and I really like how this turned out. This was the part that I really enjoyed, because at this point I hadn't burnished any of the surface, and when you use markers, that's one of the pros. You don't burnish the surface of the paper. And it turned out really nice. Here I'm putting some underpainting color with a blue, followed by hatching strokes done with the Faber-Castell Pitt pen brush markers. And I love using these markers when it comes to creating texture, whether it's wood, whether it's fur, whether it's grass. It just is really nice when you use these brush markers compared to Posca pens, because you can control how thick and thin the strokes can be. So what I really liked was that I was using multiple layers and multiple colors of these Faber-Castell Pitt pen markers to create the grass. And what was really nice was that I hadn't burnished the paper yet. And because I hadn't burnished the paper yet, I was able to go in again with pencils. So I was going in with the blues, the whites, the blacks to create dimension, to create texture, to give it that 3D effect of the grass, and it really turned out nicely. But what I noticed was that the grass was a bit too bright for my liking. It didn't look like it was a cohesive, realistic grass look. So what I did was I went in with my pencils and got in that texture, got in those extra layers. Then I went on top here, you can see, with a Copic marker, and I did like a basic glaze or covering of the whole grass area in a green. And then I went in again with more pencil pigment, and that kind of made the grass more cohesive with each other, and it looked a lot better. Now the lower half of this female figure, I could say I'm not really happy with how it turned out. I love the technique used and the outcome of it, but I think the color selections could have been more thought through. Now I think what the problem is that in my mind when I started this piece, I really had a red themed look in my mind, and I think that's where I went wrong. I feel like I should just really go with the flow when it comes to color selection. And I feel that is the best way to go about things, is because sometimes you have a vision in your mind and you think it's going to turn out a certain way. But when you get there, it doesn't actually look like how you visioned it. And you're still stuck on following this plan. And I don't think that's the best thing to do. I think the best thing to do is to go with the flow and make decisions based on how things turn out. Because when it comes to art, you can't control the outcome. Maybe with some things, but when it comes to art for me, it really depends on my mood and how I'm feeling on the day and how I'm thinking. So if I'm in a good mood, sometimes my color choices are a reflection of that. And I think like today, I just wasn't at my game and my color selections weren't 100%, if you get what I'm saying. It still turned out really nice. I'm not dissing it. I think it turned out good, but I think it could have been better. And you know what, as I said before, it's really good for artists to really be able to pick out where their strengths and weaknesses are and their failings, because you can learn from it. You become a better artist from it. So this raven was done really different, well, slightly different to the Whispered Words one. I used pencils to go in on top of the marker, but then I went in back with a marker to blow out the pencil, going on top with markers again to add more texture and color. So it's similar to using a solvent on top of pencil hatching or pencil fur textures, because what you want to do is you want to soften the fur and then go on top with pencil again. So I let that dry for the raven, and then I started doing the background. Now here I still had that red vision in my mind, but when I started putting down red textures, it just wasn't working. I don't know what it was. So I fixed it and thought on the spot, and went in with different colors of purples, different colors of blues, and kind of blended everything together and created like a blue texture sky. Now me being me, I don't like having a plain colored blue sky. I know that the sky, the galaxies, isn't one flat color. So I put in different colors of blue to give it dimension. And what you can see is it's a lot of blending, it's a lot of layering, and that's just the way with textures. So what I did was I let it dry, and then I went on top with the grass again just to make it a bit darker, just to work with a red, and you can see it works a lot nicer. So you can see here I'm picking up a pink pencil and I'm turning on its side to create some galaxy textures. And because the sky hasn't been burnished, it applies really nicely. And I'm not really blurring it out or making it blended. I'm just keeping it really raw with the background. And it doesn't look like it's complete right now. And that's because I haven't done all the night skies and the stars. So after that, I went back into the Raven and I went in with some pencils and added the final finishing touches of the fur. And then you can see here now I'm going in with Posca Pen to do the stars. Now obviously I know I could achieve something a lot better using watercolors and gouache, but I wanted to show you guys an alternative if you didn't have watercolors and if you didn't have gouache. And when you use the watercolor technique, it's a bit more fussy because you got to create a stencil. So this is another alternative to those who don't have those equipments and still want that night sky. It doesn't look exactly the same as the Whispered Words night sky, but it just looks just as nice. And it's done very easily in terms of the level of skill you're at. So this is very achievable for someone of a beginner level because it doesn't really focus on understanding the color and the paint and the whole flicking and the stenciling. So this is something that anyone can really achieve. Do I like the sky? I actually think it's one of the most attractive parts of this piece. There are a few parts that I enjoy, which is the grass, the background, the raven, and the dress. Am I in love with the skin? Not so much, but I think it's because I'm not really comfortable with skin being so monsterish or so pale. And I think that's the reason why, because it's something that I'm not familiar with and something I'm not comfortable with. So I was able to put in some highlight textures with pencil in the hair. I still believe that if I went in with a base marker on the hair, things would look a lot nicer too. But you know what? You learn from your mistakes, and it would just be better in the next video that I do in Copics and pencils. So this is where I kind of took the wings a bit too far. You know, going in with the Posca Pens to create more fur textures. I really wanted to try and not make the wings red because I realized I was going with a red theme in my head, and I was trying to fix that and balance the whole contrast and juxtaposition of everything. So I didn't pay much attention to the fencing, but guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this doesn't disappoint you guys, and I hope that my next tutorial will be a lot better. I'm really happy with it. I'm not disappointed, but I've learned a lot from my mistakes. Anyway guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Comment below, give me your feedback, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.